Welcome back to the Zach and Steve show, ladies and germs.
What's up?
So we got a pretty packed show for you guys today. Just before this recording, Zach and I were reminiscing about different shows from our childhood and how we can ruin them.
You know, like we do with like other classic shows such as The Wild Thornberrys. What else we got? What else have we done?
We've done it Power Rangers.
Hey Arnold.
Yep. I don't know if we ever put that one out.
Oh, we never did that one?
No, we did do it, but I don't think
no,
we put
that was
the
the episode where
out.
you started bashing a certain...
I did no such thing. Okay, terrific. Moving on. But yeah, we ruined Recess.
You guys remember Recess from waking up and pouring yourself like 3 bowls of cereal and watching fucking Recess in the morning.
Yeah, back when you were happy and you thought, life was going to be good. And
Innocent children.
yeah, So if you guys remember, Recess was a show on ABC, Saturday morning cartoon,
One of my favorites.
about a group of children in middle school or whatever. And, a lot of people don't know what happened to these kids.
Yeah, well, you really got to like look into the characters and like just who they were as people. Like you got to break it down. Like I remember there was TJ Detweiler, who was kind of the leader of the pack. Vincent was his best friend, who was the his black, like athletic, sportsy kind of friend. They had Gretchen, who was like the nerdy girl. There was Ashley Spinelli, who was a little tomboyish, and very very aggressive. And there was Gus, who was kind of nerdy and kind of shy, but like he wanted to belong really. So he was happy to have found TJ in the gang.
Yeah, and there was Mikey, the obese, sort of gentle giant, effeminate type.
Exactly. Never wanted to hurt a fly.
Yeah, and he had a very good singing voice.
Yeah, exactly.
But a lot of people don't know what was going on behind the scenes of that show. These kids all came from very rough backgrounds.
Yeah, of course.
Gretchen, for example, was habitually molested by an uncle of hers for much of her early childhood. And her parents refused to even acknowledge it. They would either accuse her of lying or just change the subject.
Yeah, and you can imagine what life might be like to be that young and have to just bottle that up because not even your fucking parents will believe you. Like it's insane.
Yeah, they just don't want the shame. They don't want the whole thing. They don't want the court proceedings.
It's a whole thing. Exactly. They got the court proceedings. They got to like talk about, never seeing her dad's brother ever again. It's like...
And she still sees him at every family function. He's walking around a free man.
Yeah. He comes up and makes it a point to say hi to her every time.
Yep, and she,
gives her a little smirk.
Yep. And as a result of being molested so much, she's developed the only defense mechanism she really knows how, which is making herself appear ugly and unattractive and nerdy.
Right, so she gets the biggest fucking glasses she can find.
Yep, and the most just like old lady like dresses,
and like even worse, like she kind of like had this like problem with her in her head that she like needed to fucking be ugly, so she didn't want to like no one would want to touch her.
Yeah,
so it became this like psychosis thing. So what she started doing is like over time just kind of gradually like fucking with her teeth and just like purposefully just like misshaping them.
Oh, so her parent, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, like some of those girls that, like pull their hair out and shit. That was like her like hair pulling.
Yeah, wow, that's sad.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're informing people about this. Gus, he's kind of self-explanatory.
Yeah,
they actually shed a little light on that on the show itself.
Yeah, he was the military brat. You remember his father was like a sergeant or some shit.
Yeah, and then you have Gus, who's a bit of a beta. He's not a very masculine child. He's nerdy. His
father probably wants nothing but a military life for him.
Exactly.
And that's just
it's not going to happen.
He's not growing into that type of body. Let's just say that.
Yeah, exactly.
His dad's none too pleased about it.
He's short. He's nerdy. He probably has asthma.
He likes a lot of gay shit, according to his dad.
Yeah,
that's his dad's words, not mine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's like, why don't you put down those faggot comic books and go throw the old pigskin around, Gus?
Exactly.
Dad,
like that.
I don't want to do that. And
he's happy to have TJ in the gang because like I said, he's a military brat. He's moved around his whole life. He's never been able to really hold a group of friends because he fucking ends up moving.
Yeah, and all the kids are bonded through like the common bond of trauma.
Yeah,
and
of course.
coming from
they never
rough
talk about it,
backgrounds.
but they can tell. They do like
Yeah.
when they first meet each other, they see it in each other's eyes.
Yeah, it's like an island of misfit toys kind of thing.
Yeah, like you can just tell.
Yeah.
They gravitated towards each other, and they were accepting of each other because they knew that they needed a friend. You know, they needed a win for once in their life.
Right. And who else was in the crew?
That was it for the crew.
We talked about Mikey. We talked about
Yeah, well, let's go through them. Yeah, so
We talked about
that's
Mike.
Gretchen's story. So that's her kind of background.
yeah.
Mikey,
Vinny didn't really have much of a dark childhood.
yeah,
Things
his
would get
parents were
dark
loving
later.
parents. They were pretty well
Everything
off.
was dark. Todd, no, you're not even in this bit.
Yeah,
dude.
come on, dude. Let's
Go the
not
fuck
make
back to the
this. Let's not
Can we do
ruin this.
one?
This is a wholesome bit here.
Yeah, it's very wholesome. It's very sad, but people have to know.
People need to be made aware of.
Yes. We're activists.
Exactly.
We're
And
social justice warriors.
so what were we on? We were on Mikey. So Mikey, he's obese. He's effeminate, like we said. He's got a great singing voice. Now, think of that. Like, come on. Like, just context clues, people. He's clearly closeted gay.
Oh yeah, and he's eating to suppress it.
Yeah, like, in that school, a lot of people got bullied and shit. Like, why would you want to be the different one? So he just suppressed it. It was all about peace. Would have never hurt a fly. But, he just fucking...
And if he's like a big fat
Little light in
fucking
the loafers.
slob, yeah, if he's like a big fat fucking slob, then like girls will be even less likely to approach him, and he doesn't have to deal with that.
Right, because we all, if you're straight, that's all girls do. They flock to you.
Oh, fucking tell me about it.
Got to beat them off with a stick. Yes.
So I guess we're gonna talk about now where these kids all ended up, and
Well, let's go through and finish the background here. So now Mikey, we know his story. He's eating. That's why he's obese, because he's just suppressing this horrible thought that there's this. It's not horrible. Excuse me. I'm not against the LGBTQ community in any way, but it's a hard time for them when he was growing up, and he didn't
Right.
want to come out, so he had to suppress that. But now let's go into Spinelli. So
Yeah, we didn't
Spinelli,
talk
she's
about her.
like we said, she's kind of a tomboy. Why is that though?
well, her father wanted a son, just in the
course.
worst goddamn way.
What man doesn't,
Yep, and so he pushed all this like guy shit onto her, and it made her kind of grumpy and bitter and resentful, but she sort of embraced the tomboy thing, which eventually, because of her resentment towards her father, led her to become a lesbian.
Yeah, like obviously her father forced her into watching a lot of shit, like movies that he liked and all that shit. Like he was, a bit of a drinker. So,
Yeah, and she didn't have a mom.
yeah, so he basically, would try to get her interested in the stuff he was interested in, and like, around that time, like Baywatch was probably coming up. He probably made her watch that show all the time, and just like, hey, you see that girl?
That Pam Anderson's got a nice
Hey,
rack, eh,
your mother
Spinelli?
used to look like that.
Fucking bitch.
But just all the years of just watching what he wanted to watch, and him just saying his misogynistic comments like that, just kind of made her kind of gravitate away from him, and she just kind of gravitated towards
Women,
what she
because-
thought was right.
Yeah, and she had no, positive female role model at home.
Exactly.
And so she ended up sort of a guy in a girl's body.
Yeah, but
which is
like-
why she becomes a dyke.
Yeah, but like any shortcomings she ever had, where like she wasn't, well, I mean, it wasn't really that. Her father would just get shit-faced drunk sometimes, come home from the bar late at night, and just get pissed that she's not a boy and fucking smack her around a little.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is a little sad, It's you don't want to see that shit ever.
Yeah, and if you notice, like she always like wears a hat, and she's always got long sleeves on, layers,
To hide the bruises.
full length stockings, big boots, because she's got it hard enough,
Yeah.
and she knows that social services on paper sound great, but she'll end up in a group home
Right.
and just get abused there, and it's basically prison for kids.
Yeah, but she knows all about getting beat and taking a beating. That like
Yep.
she's pretty much like, as far as kids like her own age are concerned, she's fucking invincible. Like the
Yeah.
biggest bully could come at her and he'd get laid the fuck out.
Yeah.
because she's seen some shit. The
Yeah.
biggest bully is just fucking not getting enough attention at home.
It ain't shit compared to her dad.
Exactly.
Her old man.
That's why she was always a little hot-headed too, If you ever notice any kind of conflict she had, she just fucking would go off on people and like That's why the group liked having her around. You know, no one was really, Vince had her back if need be, if it was something real serious, and TJ could throw down too. But, Mikey didn't want to. Gretchen absolutely didn't want to. She would run away and, hide with Gus somewhere.
Right.
And, those three had to hold down the crew, Spinelli, TJ, and Vince. But speaking of which, so now we're that's Spinelli, that's Mikey, that's Gus, and that's Gretchen. Yeah, now you pretty much know all. TJ is just your normal run-of-the-mill guy. He grew up with, his friends. His parents are divorced, weren't they?
Let's go with that. Sure.
Yeah. His parents are divorced, and that's kind of his trauma. Really, they divorced early, and he's the two Christmases kind of kid.
Oh yeah.
So he
Weekend.
Yeah, exactly. So he's like, he wants to get to know his dad, but like basically all the shortcomings that these kids have in their lives, they fill that hole with this really loving, great group of friends that they've met, that they get through middle school with. It's really, uplifting and heartwarming to watch.
Yes.
But that's a lot of trauma to go through when you're that young.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
That's there's no way you can just kind of ignore that. Like that's going to come back and bite them in the end. And that's why we're here now, folks. We wanted to talk about Recess and, where are they now?
Yeah. So I guess we can start with Vince. Vince got a full ride basketball scholarship to an Ivy League school.
Sorry.
Todd, no.
Sorry.
Stop it. Seriously. But he tore his ACL in a preseason game and, lost his scholarship, had to drop out of school. And
that's rough.
Now he's addicted to opioids.
You hear that just too often now. The doctors just prescribe him something for that pain, and all of a sudden the pain's gone, but the prescriptions, they keep coming.
Yep, especially, pro athletes.
Exactly.
He does a little B&E when things get really bad, does a little stretch in prison.
Yikes. So, like looking at that though, like his parents are always kind of well off, you know what I mean? He wasn't like the stereotypical African-American child growing up who doesn't have a father.
Right.
He, had two loving parents that wanted nothing but the best for him, put him through the top-notch football programs that they could, and, really tried to give him a fighting chance. But some really racist white kid that he was playing football against just had it out for him. Hit him right where he shouldn't have.
Yeah, and now, he just, nods out to, clips of his old games in a trailer somewhere. And, TJ tries to help him, but there's only so much you can do for someone in a position like that. And I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves with TJ. I think we should cover him last.
Yeah, I agree.
Vince is broken, destitute, addicted to opioids in a trailer now because he tore his ACL.
Sad story, man.
And they don't get much better.
Yeah, honestly, you got to think, let's look at Gretchen now. Gretchen, she was abused as a kid. She literally, forcibly fucked up her teeth just kind of as a, body dysmorphic type, psychosis thing. She just had to, alter her body. So now she's just an ugly fucking, messed up, really, really self-conscious fucking nerd girl. That's,
Yeah, and a lot of her,
18,
part
19.
of her brain is, stuck in her middle school years because she never fucking processed all the trauma she went through.
Never talked about it. No one ever, if her parents to this day, she won't even bother bringing it up now because it's too painful to watch them just reject the idea completely.
And now she's incapable of loving herself because she thinks it's her fault. So how is she gonna meet a man?
Just sorry to cut you off, but how do you think that family dynamic works now? She brought it up to find out that they weren't gonna believe her. When she was a kid, she tried to tell them. Do you think the thought's ever been in the back of their mind? Ever since she said that, they're like, do you think he actually did that?
Oh, I think they absolutely know.
That the whole thing probably just ruined the entire family.
Because we're talking about the uncle here, who was one of the parents' brothers.
Right, exactly.
Someone they know on
the
an
father's
intimate
brother.
level. Yeah.
There were never any girls in the family.
And so
Until Gretchen.
You don't just diddle a kid without any red flags.
Exactly.
So I guarantee it's just extreme denial.
Yeah,
They
they still
delude
see him at
themselves.
holidays, but they don't want to
Yeah.
they're very distanced, and they kind of they don't see eye to eye anymore.
And tragically, the idea of rocking the boat and, possibly tearing apart the family and bringing the shame upon them is worth more to them. Like, preserving all that is worth more to them than their daughter's mental health.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, Gretchen is doing okay, but it's like the tallest midget kind of thing.
Yeah, she's got the best grades. She's got like a scholarship to schools and shit. Like academically, she's fine. She'll be set. And later in life, she might fight through, learn to speak up, tell people her story.
Right. At least we can only hope. Mikey, as we noted before, Mikey is was a closeted obese homosexual who ate to suppress his feelings for other men.
Right.
But once he gets off to college and stuff, where being gay isn't a big deal anymore, he doesn't
realize no one really cares.
Yeah, he doesn't feel the need to eat compulsively. The weight falls off, and he becomes a singer on Broadway.
Good for him.
But I know, it's sad. He contracts the HIV virus and dies.
Of course. Every time.
Yep. It's unclear who was the one that gave it to him. No one really wants to press the issue. Vince doesn't go to the funeral. He doesn't go to the wake. He goes to the funeral, but he shows up high, and makes everybody uncomfortable.
Yeah.
He's like, "You couldn't have worn a rubber, you fat fuck." And he makes everybody uncomfortable, alienates himself further from his friends. The fact of the matter here, folks, is that TJ Duttweiler grows up to go to a lot of funerals.
Yeah, and it's really, sad to see. But, I mean, you've seen where are we at now? Who's...
I think we could segue into Gus on the subject of funerals.
So whose funeral was Vince at?
Mikey's.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and that's kind of one thing. Like, Gus and Mikey were always tight.
Yeah, and Gus kills himself.
Yeah, he found his dad's gun.
Yeah, and he just, his father's constant belittlement and abuse and unrealistic standards of where he wants him to be in life and trying to live vicariously through him all come to a head, and he, puts one in his own brain. And, does he leave a note? I forget. Does he blame his dad? Just to give him a little extra sting at the end? A little kick on the way out?
No. He's not petty.
Oh, so he leaves it unanswered.
He's not petty like that.
Yeah, he just leaves it unanswered.
He just wants to be like the least amount of burden that he can be.
Yeah.
I mean, he did when he killed himself.
Right.
Which happened.
Yes. People don't know about this, but it did happen. Yes. So that leaves us with Spinelli and TJ. Spinelli went on to become a, as they call them, a butch lesbian. She entered a relationship with a more feminine female. They were out at a club drinking one night, and Spinelli mistook a friendly exchange between her girlfriend and another woman as them, trying to have sexual relations.
Yeah.
And in a drunken rage, she broke a Heineken bottle over the woman's head and was charged and convicted of felony assault and is currently in prison for about 15 years.
Nothing changes because it's all the same.
Yeah.
The world you give is the one you give away.
It all
just happens again way down the line. Thank you, The Offspring, everyone.
And then finally, TJ. TJ kind of comes out okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, Vince is teetering here. He's like, his parents are rejecting him at this point. Vince is just, he's on the perks pretty bad, but his parents aren't supporting him. The injury's over now. Now it's just the perks.
Oh, yeah. It's been like that for some time.
Yeah, and it's quickly turning into a I'm running out of money scenario and I need something cheaper.
Yep.
So, he's fast on the wrong route, let's just say. But, yeah, which brings us to TJ, who, they're still great friends, but TJ is just sitting there, a product of divorce, sitting there. His friend Gus killed himself. His friend Mikey came out of the closet, and he's wondering why Mikey couldn't have said this to him when he was younger. TJ would have accepted him.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of guilt.
He beats himself up over it constantly, why he wasn't able to make Mikey feel comfortable. But, so it goes.
Yep.
But, he's got 2 friends dead now. One friend is,
on his way.
Yeah, he's watching Vince kill himself. He's watching, Spinelli she doesn't talk to her dad anymore. Like, she avoids him like the plague. She pretty much tries to live at her girlfriend's house constantly.
Or did before she went to prison.
Yeah, right, exactly, before she got picked up. But yeah, basically, like, she's out of the closet now too, but like only to TJ and like Vince and like the close friends. He doesn't want anyone else that they went to school with to know. And he's wondering the same thing with Mikey. He thinks Spinelli's tough and wouldn't kill herself, but like she's going down a whole different road.
Yeah, like, and TJ's like punishment is that his life isn't too bad. He works a shitty warehouse job. He smokes a lot of weed.
Hang on here, because we haven't gotten to the heart of TJ here.
No, I know. I'm getting to that. I'm saying he has to live with guilt.
Yeah,
that's like his cross to bear. Well,
he's got a bigger cross to bear. Let's not forget all right, we haven't gotten to this yet, but TJ's on trial, guys.
Yeah.
Basically, it's where we are now. All this stuff's happening. His friends are barely even showing support for him. And as they should be, because TJ fucked up. Remember the Ashleys, everyone?
Scandalous.
Yes, all the Ashleys. And remember, Spinelli was like an Ashley, but they kind of knew she was a dyke, so they didn't want to really accept her. They
didn't want her like trying to finger her.
Yeah, like I assume girls are like that, like the same way that guys are, where they're like, dude, I don't care if you're gay, just don't fucking touch my dick. Like kind of like that. But like that's why they didn't want to let Spinelli in the group. But yeah, as they got older, TJ was on the football team, Vince was on the football team, and they kind of ran it. TJ was the captain, and everybody looked up to TJ. Anybody had a problem, they went to TJ. Like, TJ just kind of was the popular kid, if you think about it.
He wasn't a bully. He was nice. He was a good talker.
Yeah, everyone just fucking, like, they looked up to TJ. And, the high school years came. They all started partying with football. And, all after, once football was done, basically, they had a championship game. And they won. They won the Super Bowl for the year. I guess there was a celebration party, and this is the one that came out. Apparently, this had happened a few times before, but this is the one where Ashley Baker she killed herself. I don't know if you've seen that 13 Reasons Why. It's not exactly like that at all. It's similar.
It's a similar case, a really sadly similar case.
13 Recesses Why.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty much. One thing led to another. And I think this is actually, like, we won't go into this. I don't know if you've watched 13 Reasons Why, but, one of the jock kids lets the other girl get raped. And, like, tries to do something, gets shut down once and just gives up and lets it happen. But what if that was Vince? What if Vince tried to stop TJ from raping Ashley Baker?
Yeah, so TJ's on trial for rape. But the tragic part is that even though one of the girls killed themselves from the ensuing trauma, it took them a couple more years before they had the courage to come forward, which pretty much was the ace in the hole.
Yeah, it was like a domino effect. Once one starts, and they all start getting the courage,
But unfortunately, this thing happened, years ago.
Yeah. And
all they really have is anecdotal evidence.
Yeah, and like Ashley Baker made these tapes that, they all listen to, and they point straight to it, but it's all just hearsay. Doesn't really hold up in court much. So TJ ends up walking. He raped all the Ashleys except for Spinelli, who probably would have kicked his ass.
Yeah.
But, TJ was, he was the one that everyone looked up to. He raped 4 girls.
Yep.
Like, how does that happen? How does that compute in... Sad.
Yeah, it's just a very sad story because it's not like TJ's, getting off here scot-free. He's in his own mental prison.
Pretty much most people hate him at this point.
Yeah, he's hated.
His friends don't look at him the same way. Like
the ones that are still alive.
Yeah, and he's kind of amplifying their problems. Like they already got enough problems of their own. Now their best friend that they've always looked up to is a fucking rapist.
Yeah.
And it's like, Jesus Christ,
Yeah, it's a very sad story.
Yeah, so I didn't mean to bring down the mood for your day, people, but that's just.
We need to make these people's voices heard.
Exactly.
Okay.
This is the here and now. Stop living in the past.
Yeah, it's not always
recess
gonna be
is
jokes.
fucking over.
It's not always going to be jokes, guys.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to be serious.
Exactly.
But speaking of old shows.
Hold on, how did we do there? That was pretty good.
That was like 25 minutes.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah.
You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
Now you know. Now you know. You're like, what the fuck?
Moving right
dude?
along on the Zach and Steve show.
I listened to this to cure my depression, just to take me out of it for a while, and you're just telling me these awful stories about
I
kids.
used to watch that show to really got me through my Saturdays. I was a child of divorce myself. What the fuck, man? I've never raped anyone.
These kids just never had a chance, if you think about it. They were just fucking doomed from the start.